You probably already know your bottleneck. In fact, I'd be willing to bet you've known it for a long time because bottlenecks have a habit of following you. They show up in your goals, your journals, your resets. They show up in your prayers. Year after year, season after season, the same thing keeps appearing. The same weakness, the same unfinished battle, the same habit, the same excuse. And eventually, you have to stop pretending you don't know what it is. So ask yourself two questions. The first one I'd say is, what's the thing that you've been trying to fix for years? You know what it is. You've been speaking about this, you've been thinking about it for a long time. If you're somebody that's been on self improvement for a long time, or at least watching all these videos, you know what you need to fix, man. You know what it is. I already told you mine. Mine is sleep. I don't have a consistent sleep schedule. I don't have a proper like foundation on that. I don't know what your thing is. Maybe you go to sleep too late. Also sleep. Maybe it's TikTok. Your phone is a problem. If you deleted TikTok and Instagram 3 years ago, who knows how different your life would look right now? I don't know, but you know what that bottleneck is. And then the other thing that I think actually helps in this, the second question, I actually heard this from Chris Williamson as well. It was this thing of like, I want to call it the audience test, right? If your life was kind of like the Truman Show, you had a camera just showing your day to day life and it was being broadcasted to an audience, what would the audience be screaming at you? They'd be like, man, it's been years, just leave that job or leave that relationship. It's obvious she's not the right person for you. Or just delete that app. It's obvious it's the one thing that's holding you back. If you could just delete it, your whole life would change. Or it's obvious, stop charging your phone, in your bedroom when you go to sleep, because that's the thing that's ruining your sleep schedule. And if you fix your sleep schedule, that would fix your whole life. I don't know what it is, but think about it. If somebody was watching your life, if an audience was watching your life, what's the thing they'd be screaming is so obvious that you need to fix? And then that will tell you a story. And maybe that's why this question is so difficult. Because finding your bottleneck isn't usually a discovery problem. It's an honesty problem. You don't need another assessment. You don't need another personality test. You don't need another productivity framework. You need the courage to admit what you've been avoiding. Because if somebody followed you around for a month, they could probably identify your bottleneck in a few days. The difficult part is that we become experts at looking around it, explaining it, rationalizing it, working around it, anything except confronting it. But your bottleneck doesn't care how much knowledge you have. It doesn't care how many books you've read. It doesn't care how many videos you've watched. It will continue to limit your life until you deal with it. Unfortunately, the problem is much simpler than what most people think. If you want your life to change, stop trying to improve everything, because that's what you've probably been doing for years. You've been spreading your attention across 10 different battles, trying to become better at everything all at once, and then wondering why nothing seems to change. But real progress doesn't come from improving everything. It comes from identifying the constraint and attacking it relentlessly. And this is the framework I'd use. So I kind of pointed to it earlier, but the first thing is list every bottleneck in your life and rank it. You don't have you don't have to go and freaking get crazy with it, but the big things that are holding you back, the things that if I could just change this, if I could change this, and that, my life would look so much better. List it. Write the list, 10, 20, 30, however many things it is, right? And then rank it from like the biggest problem to the smallest problem. And then from there, you're able to see what your biggest bottleneck is. And then you start attacking that bottleneck relentlessly. Literally go top down. You're like, cool, this is my biggest problem. I'm going ham at it. Like literally, I'm just thinking of the when I was watching the video and they're discussing Elon Musk when he spoke about how this is how he attacks problems in his businesses. Picture somebody who's trying to become like the best. Elon Musk is a trillionaire now. Somebody who's trying to become the best at something. Think about how relentlessly they would fix a problem if they realize it's the thing that's holding them back. I think of like Ronaldo. When he was, a bit skinny and he needed to put on muscle. I'm like, dude, I remember that clip. I've heard it so many times. It's like, when he was like, when I was young, people used to say, Cristiano, you're good, but you're just skinny. And he was like, oh, the body we can improve. And I love that mentality. It's like, cool. People are telling me this is my problem. I can identify this as my problem. Well, this I can improve. And imagine what somebody like that does. Somebody who's so obsessed with becoming the best. Somebody who's so obsessed, with building the best company, somebody who's so obsessed with achieving this goal, you tell them that this is the biggest problem that's holding them back from a lot of progress. Think about how relentlessly they attack that. I'm just imagining a company like Elon Musk is probably like, dude, let's get together a freaking team that's attacking this, like working on this full time every day for the next however many weeks, right? And that's how you need to look at your life as well, because it's your life. At some point, and we've spoken about this in other videos, at some point you're gonna get to a point in your life where you're like, I don't have any more time to change. I've run out of time, and it's just slowly been going away. And the saddest part is that you're gonna know what that thing is that you should have changed. You're gonna know, man, if I could have just deleted that app, if I just gathered the courage one day to delete that app and free myself from this thing, I would have made so much more progress. Or if I could just have taken my sleep more seriously. Just picture yourself, man. Picture yourself at the end of your life. And if you carry on the way you're carrying on now, I don't know what your life is looking like, but I'm assuming if you're still watching these videos, it's probably not where you want it to be. If your life carries on the way it's carrying on, and that's important for us to realize, right? Because I've also had to have this realization myself, where it's like, it's not about what I think I should become, this vision I have of who I'm going to become when I eventually lock in. It's, what do your habits say? Not what does your mouth say? What does your habits say? And if you just look at that, where are your habits taking you? Now, just extrapolate that to the end of your life. You're like 80. Think about the life you're gonna have, not the one you wish you have, or the one, when I do eventually change, then I'm gonna have this life. Not that. If you carry on the way you're carrying on now, if you were to take the last week, the last 2 weeks, the last month, whatever it is, and you extrapolate that into the future, the life that's gonna give you. Picture that man, the person you're gonna be at the end of that journey. What's gonna be on your mind when you're looking back? Because people always talk about this, people's biggest regrets, like working too hard, yada, 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 and that's important. You don't want to just waste your life away doing something where you weren't thinking about it. But put yourself in that frame of mind. You look back and you're like, well, the game is over. I never got to do what I wanted to do. What are you going to look back so painfully at and say, I regret that I didn't fix this? And when you put yourself in that position of, I'm looking back and I'm regretting the life that I could have had, but I didn't have. Something as simple as, dude, just freaking sleep at 8 and wake up at 4 or 5, whatever the time is, every day. That seems so easy. It's like, I could have done that. If I could feel the pain I'm feeling now at the end of my life, at that time, I would have fixed it. It's such a simple price to pay. It's so simple. But right now, it's just, there's something more important, or there's something more attention grabbing. And get into that frame of mind. And then you're like, okay, cool. I'm here now. I can still change, my life. What's my biggest bottleneck? Let me attack that relentlessly. And I think the other part as well is, you already know this, man. We've discussed this so many times. We know what we need to do. I could get most of the people watching this video right now, I could get you to go write a thesis on self-improvement. And I bet you'd fare pretty well. Like, all the things. You've heard about the little hacks, the tricks. If I was to write you could write a fundamentals list. You're like, cool. You need good sleep. You need to get exercise in. The research is just, it's immaculate around that. If you get sleep and you exercise well, you're just so much better functioning human being. Stop scrolling on TikTok first thing in the morning. You could write a whole thing. You know what you need to do. You don't need any more books to tell you how to improve in your life. You need action, right? And I think that's the tough part. Is it's not about knowledge. It's about application. It's about prioritization. What are you prioritizing? And when you strip everything away, the answer becomes surprisingly simple. You do not need another life reset. You do not need another productivity system. You do not need another motivational speech. You probably already know enough. Most people do. The problem isn't information. The problem is attention. You've spread your effort across too many battles, too many goals, too many priorities. And in doing so, you've weakened your ability to make meaningful progress anywhere. Because progress isn't built through intensity. It's built through focus. Focus on the thing that matters the most. Focus on the thing creating the biggest constraint. Focus on the thing you've been avoiding. And keep focusing until it's no longer holding you back.